Hi, I'm Anna.
Yo, it's Matt.
What up? It's Emily.
This is Colin reporting for duty.
And this is Team Cinatit.
For our FEDD project, we were tasked with researching, designing, and building a concrete canoe capable of floating and carrying the most weight possible. As part of our research process, we honed in on what goes into creating the correct makeup of a concrete mixture, the water-to-concrete ratio, and the overall shape of the boat. Aggregates are meant to bind the cement mixture together and give proper density to the boat. The choice of aggregate is key for the concrete mixture, which can be seen later on in the video.
Our first version of the concrete canoe was Thaddeus. Thaddeus was made with 3 parts cement, 3 parts sand, 2 parts pebble, and 750 milliliters of water. Thaddeus was created using the parent mold with a wood tier insert, which is why the canoe was not as deep inside as our final version. Our second version of the canoe was Stonewall. Stonewall was created using a mixture of 1 part cement, 1 part sand, 2 parts pebble, and 750 milliliters of water. Stonewall was also created using the parent mold, but this time with a PVC insert and a single wood plank instead of only wood inserts. Version 3 got its name the moment we placed it in water. The Leaky Boat, as it became known as almost immediately, was the first canoe to float after being patched up with duct tape. The Leaky Boat was created using 1 part cement, 2 parts sand, 1 part beanbag balls, and 850 milliliters of water. The beanbag balls we used came from one of our group members' beanbags that he took apart. Version 4 of the concrete canoe quickly became known as the Chosen One. The Chosen One was the first to work properly and float the way we wanted it to. The Chosen One was created using 1 part cement, 1 part sand, 2 parts beanbag balls, and 1 liter of water. Unfortunately, the sides were too tall and we had to cut portions of cement out, which is why we decided to create a 5th version of the boat. Our 5th and final version of the canoe goes by Leif Erikson, named after a Norse explorer from Iceland who was the first known European to have set foot on continental North America before Christopher Columbus. This canoe was made up of 1 part cement, 1 part sand, 2 parts of smaller beanbag balls, and 900 milliliters of water. The Leif Erikson had no insert when using the parent mold. Instead, the concrete was hand-pressed and filled with sand to help maintain its shape.
One of the biggest focuses on this project was the idea of continuous improvement through the design cycle. With the challenge of making a concrete boat that floats, it was crucial to test and improve the design over time. With Boat 1, we came across solutions and answers. Boat 1 proved that our mold for the hull was sufficient to create a boat with the proper shape and dimensions, but showed we had a problem with concrete mixture ratios and the insert used to displace concrete from the inside of the boat. This led to the creation of Boat 2, which had a rebuilt insert and a higher proportion of gravel in an attempt to lower density. The rebuilt insert solved the internal dimension problem, but the boat could not float due to being too dense. The solution we came up with was to use polystyrene to increase the buoyancy of the boat, which was first used in Boat 3. Boat 3 proved that polystyrene was the solution to our density problem, as the boat was neutrally buoyant in water, but enlightened us with the other issues that needed to be faced. Boat 3 had a massive leak in the hull and still needed a higher ratio of polystyrene to be able to hold weight. These problems were solved by using pressure and shaking to better settle the concrete into the mold and further increasing the polystyrene ratio. Boat 4 showed huge promises with no leaks and the ability to carry a competitive amount of weight with a higher ratio of polystyrene. USS Leif Erikson, the final boat, incorporated all the solutions found through the design cycle to create the best looking and functioning boat we developed.
Before the actual day of FEDD, we tested our boat and knew that it could hold around 1.4 kilograms, give or take a little bit, so we were pretty sure it would do fine at FEDD. Our group was one of the first to be called to test our boat, so we got the difficult part out of the way immediately. We got the whole process of filling up the boat with marbles and sinking it on video, which is what's playing right now, and it took a lot longer for the boat to sink than we thought it would. We held 1.4 kilograms worth of marbles before sinking, so we held about as much as we thought we would. But when we were placing them, we were trying to place the marbles evenly and slowly to try and get just a few more in, to try and get just a little bit more weight. We kept thinking that the boat would sink with just a few more marbles, and we said that a lot during the video, but it just kept going. Our boat came in 6th out of around 14 in the morning session, but we would have placed 3rd if we were in the afternoon session. So overall, we're okay with how we did at FEDD.
After completing the FEDD project, if we were to do this again, we would put a larger emphasis and importance on the research of materials and ratios. We would make sure our research is effective and meaningful specifically to the project. We would also focus less on how to cure concrete properly. Our process was mainly trial and error on the mixes and aggregates, and we had many failures. We could have possibly saved time if we did that earlier in small swatches before deciding on making the boat. For FED students next year, our advice would be to plan out your time efficiently and to not wait last minute for any parts of the project. Also get to know your teammates, because it will make the project a lot more fun and enjoyable, especially during FED meetings. One thing we found really effective was use online sharing platforms for documents, pictures, and videos so everyone in the group has access to them. Also, don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a natural part of the design process, especially with the 4 different canoes we had to rebuild and redesign. Throughout the entirety of the FED project, we greatly improved our knowledge of the engineering design process and problem solving, especially as a team. Thank you so much for watching our video. We are so glad you could join us on our FED voyage.